When people think of powerful women in history, one name almost always comes to mind: Cleopatra VII Philopator, the last active ruler of ancient Egypt. She is remembered as a symbol of beauty, intelligence, and political power. But Cleopatra was far more than the romantic figure portrayed in movies and legends. She was a brilliant strategist, a skilled diplomat, and one of the most fascinating leaders the world has ever seen. This is the story of Cleopatra, the queen who captivated Rome, ruled Egypt, and became one of the most famous women in history. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC in the city of Alexandria, the capital of ancient Egypt at the time. She belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek royal family that had ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years. This dynasty was founded by Ptolemy Isoter, one of the generals of Alexander the Great after his empire was divided. Although Cleopatra ruled Egypt, she was actually of Greek descent. However, unlike many of her ancestors, Cleopatra embraced Egyptian culture. She learned the Egyptian language and presented herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis. This connection with Egyptian traditions helped her gain the loyalty of her people. Cleopatra became queen in 51 BC at only 18 years old. She ruled alongside her younger brother Ptolemy XIII Philopator, whom she was forced to marry according to royal custom. But the partnership did not last long. Soon a political struggle erupted between Cleopatra and her brother's advisors. Eventually, Cleopatra was forced to flee Egypt. She escaped to Syria, where she began gathering an army. Cleopatra was determined to reclaim her throne. At the same time, the Roman world was facing its own conflict, a civil war between two powerful leaders, Julius Caesar and Pompey. This Roman conflict would soon change Cleopatra's destiny forever. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria while pursuing his rival Pompey. Cleopatra saw an opportunity. According to legend, she secretly entered Caesar's palace wrapped inside a carpet so she could meet him without being discovered. Whether the story is fully true or not, it shows Cleopatra's boldness and creativity. The meeting was successful. Cleopatra impressed Caesar with her intelligence and charm. Caesar supported her claim to the Egyptian throne and helped defeat her brother's forces. After the war, Cleopatra became the ruler of Egypt once again. She and Caesar also began a romantic relationship, and in 47 BC, Cleopatra gave birth to a son named Ptolemy XV Caesar, whom she claimed was Caesar's child. Cleopatra later traveled to Rome and stayed as Caesar's guest. Her presence in Rome fascinated the public but also caused controversy. Many Romans disliked the idea of a foreign queen influencing their powerful leader. However, the situation changed dramatically in 44 BCE when Julius Caesar was assassinated during the famous assassination of Julius Caesar. With Caesar gone, Cleopatra quickly returned to Egypt. But her involvement with Rome was far from over. A few years later, Cleopatra met another powerful Roman leader, Mark Antony. At the time, Antony was one of the three rulers controlling Rome in the Second Triumvirate. Their meeting in 41 BCE became one of the most famous alliances in history. Cleopatra arrived to meet Antony in an incredibly luxurious ship, dressed as the goddess Isis. The dramatic entrance amazed Antony. The two soon formed both a political and romantic partnership. Together, they had 3 children and built a powerful alliance between Egypt and Antony's Roman territories. But this relationship also created a dangerous enemy. In Rome, another leader was rising to power, Augustus, the adopted son of Julius Caesar. Octavian saw Antony's relationship with Cleopatra as a threat. He launched a propaganda campaign against them, accusing Antony of betraying Rome for an Egyptian queen. Eventually, tensions between Octavian and Antony erupted into war. The decisive conflict came in 31 BC at the famous Battle of Actium. The battle took place near Greece and involved massive naval forces. Octavian's fleet defeated Antony and Cleopatra's forces. After their defeat, Antony and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt, but Octavian pursued them. Realizing that their defeat was inevitable, tragedy followed. In 30 BC, Mark Antony took his own life. Shortly afterward, Cleopatra also chose death rather than being captured and displayed in Rome as a prisoner. According to tradition, Cleopatra died from the bite of an Egyptian cobra, though historians still debate the exact cause. She was only 39 years old. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty. It also marked the end of Egypt as an independent kingdom. After her death, Octavian turned Egypt into a Roman province, and he soon became the first Roman emperor under the name Augustus. A civilization that had lasted thousands of years was now under Roman rule. Even after more than 2,000 years, Cleopatra remains one of the most famous women in history. But modern historians emphasize that her power did not come from beauty alone. Cleopatra was highly educated, fluent in several languages, skilled in diplomacy, a capable economic and political leader. Her story has inspired countless works of art, books, and films, including the famous movie Cleopatra, 1963 film, starring Elizabeth Taylor. Today, Cleopatra represents both the glory and the dramatic end of ancient Egypt. Cleopatra's life was filled with power, ambition, love, and tragedy. She ruled during one of the most turbulent periods in ancient history and fought to keep Egypt independent against the rising power of Rome. In the end, she lost her kingdom, but she gained something even more powerful: immortality in history. More than 2,000 years later, the legend of Cleopatra still captivates the world, and her story continues to remind us that intelligence, courage, and determination can shape the course of history.